Hey everyone, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world, whenever you're watching this. We are delighted you're here with us. Welcome to the 5 Pillars of Health with Julie Tara. If you would like to participate or if you have questions for us, please do give us a shout on Twitter. Our username is @RoyalAlliance1. We're also monitoring our Google Plus and Facebook chat. So just search for the Royal Alliance and we will pop right up. The recording of this video will be available on YouTube within a day or so, as well as posted to all of our social media platforms. So keep an eye out on Twitter, Facebook, and Google Plus for those videos. And don't forget to add the Royal Alliance to your Google Plus circles so you'll know when we do these events in the future. And you can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Just search for the Royal Alliance. And don't forget to check the box that says check notifications. Okay, so that's good. We are excited to be here. I'm thrilled, super thrilled about tonight, actually. And this is why, because I get to have a real girl chat with my good friend Susan Carver, who's a brand new Royal Diamond in Niken. Yay, Susan, we are so excited for you. We're really, really thrilled. I am especially thrilled. And you live in Orlando, Florida, I know, but you have an enormous business, a huge business with Niken. A lot of it is in South America, and I know we'll get to that. But first of all, just welcome.
Thank you much, Julie. This is a real thrill because I've been watching you for years and love your talks. You were one of the finest speakers that we have in Niken, and I'm just delighted that you invited me to be on this new medium for you and I know this is kind of news to us. So.
It is new. I know. I was dead scared the first couple of times. I still get kind of nervous about it, but
That's
it's
right.
just fun. And you and I were chatting a little bit yesterday. We were just having such a laugh, and it was just so great. And I thought, oh, we're just going to have the best time tonight. So I'm thrilled. So, just initially, Susan, I'd just like to ask you, because I'd like for everyone to get to know you and who you are and really what makes you such a phenomenal leader in Niken. I mean, talk about good talks from stage. You give the best. You are just astounding. You're powerful. You're magnificent. You really are a phenomenal human being. And I want to know, what is it that makes you tick? What is it that made you into a leader? And perhaps we could look back a little bit into your childhood, your teen years. What happened? Was it hard? Was it easy for you? What was it like growing up being Susan Carver?
Well, it's always interesting to talk about childhood issues that are being recorded. So you have to kind of be careful because your parents could be watching. But right. No, in no disrespect to that, I had a good childhood. There was just a lot of things that weren't around. I was raised in a single parent home. So the first thing you think of is financial resources in that regard. There was a lot of love there, but there wasn't a lot of time. My mother did almost two things all the time to create an income. And so there wasn't a lot of time there. But the thing in my childhood, I think that we talked about yesterday that is common because you're from the beautiful country of England and I was raised here in Orlando, Florida. But the thing that I think the common thread that we discovered yesterday in our talk was the beautiful word of resilience. And that's something that I picked up by not having such a polished and perfect childhood. And knowing that I wanted more. I mean, one of the early things that I remember is I always had a peace about me with the fact that I knew that someday I would have a comfortable life. I don't use the word wealthy. I don't use the word rich, but I just knew it would be a lot more comfortable, even as a child at 10 and 12 and 14 years old. So when I would see people with a beautiful car or living in a beautiful home, I'd go over to their home for a birthday party or something. It was always like, wow, okay, yeah, this is cool, and this is going to be part of my future. I don't know exactly how, and that's the wonderful thing. You don't have to know how it's going to happen, but you just have to have that peace that good things and that struggling. And we never went on a vacation my entire childhood, Julie, because the extras just weren't there. So it was a difficult childhood, but it wasn't a bad childhood, because I've met people and we've compared notes, and it's like, no, I think mine's slowly moving up when I hear some other people, and to be serious in the difficulties that they had. But for me, it was just a resilience came out of the fact that I just figured out that if I wanted something and if I quit, then I'd never get it. And my whole life is about chances. It's about what is the chance? What are the odds? Because I think I describe myself now as kind of a calculated risk taker. I'll take a risk, but it's got to be calculated. It's not just, woo, let's just like you up on trapeze and flying around and stuff like that. That's a little beyond calculation and common sense, but that's for another talk. No, it's just a calculated risk. So if there's a chance, if there's an opening, if there's a gap there, that means that I can get through. And so by seeing that if you don't stop at something, if you keep pursuing something and you keep pursuing something, that you develop this word, this beautiful word that is resilience. And it keeps you moving forward in all different parts of your life, whether it's studies, whether it's finding the right relationship, whether it's finding the right career and passion, or financially achieving things. It's that resilience that makes it special. So just not having a perfect storybook childhood, I think, really brought that out, and that I had to keep going after things because nothing was going to be handed to me. So what about you?
No, I'm listening very keenly to what you're saying. And I think it's fascinating that you kind of knew it was sort of going to work out. I think that's the key thing that I hear very clearly, is that you knew. You didn't know how, but you knew. And I felt the same. We never went on vacations ever. My dad left when I was 10. So I think we had one vacation that I can remember. Wow. It was a big deal when I was like 5 or something. Little vacation, not no big fancy thing.
Wow.
And so it's interesting to hear that. And but I used to sort of, I don't know, I just told my parents, one day I'm going to be a millionaire because I'm going to invent something nobody has and everybody needs. This was what I thought. I actually thought I was going to invent a marmalade that didn't have the bits in it, because I didn't like the bits. And it took time, time to take those bits out. And I thought, there's got to be other kids out there that don't like those bits, And so that was my gem of an idea until Silver Shred came out, and I was kind of upset about that because they took the idea. But we took the bit, when I was in boarding school from 10 to 15, I was definitely the leader of the girls. I was always taking us into kind of adventures, and not really bad things, but really fun things, but kind of naughty and outside the lines, and always getting in trouble. I was like Miss Get in Trouble. And so there was that leadership thing already beginning at 10, 11, 12, up to 15 there. And I think it's interesting because I'll bet you had that too, whether maybe somewhere in school, what were you good at in school?
Well, everyone finds their niche. It's kind of interesting as we read personal development books and we learn more. Everybody likes to be part of a tribe. Yep. And they like to be known for something, and they like to be in some kind of group, whether it's antique cars, whether it's motorhomes, Star Trek. Everyone likes to be in some type of, most people like to be in some type of group. And so for me, when I figured out the situation in school, that was the really pretty girls. They had their own clique going. And I wasn't going to be breaking into that one, I can tell you that for sure. And then there was the popular girls that were just popular. And I was new to that school, so that wasn't going to happen for me. So the niche, again, talking about that opportunity, even though it's small, it's there. It's not impossible. And that niche for me was figuring out that the fastest way you can get someone to like you is to make them, over in British, they call it laugh. Here in America, it's called laugh. And so that's the fastest way to get someone to like you. And I didn't have a lot of time being dropped into that school, and those kids had been in the same class, and they'd moved teachers. So they were already clicked in, and that was my way as an outsider to get in, was to figure out to be the class clown, to make fun of me, to do situational humor. And it was kind of interesting because, Julia, I always got twos in contact for talking too much and interrupting the class. But the teachers, I was always like one of their favorite students because they'd even laugh and go, yeah, that was pretty funny. All right, let's get back. Come on, you know. So that was an interesting thing, and that taught me that the power of laughter. And I still use humor in my talks, and getting people to relate, I think is still a very important part of communication.
Oh, very much so. It's brilliant, and it opens everybody up, so that then suddenly they're really listening because they're connected.
Right.
Laughter is one of the great ways to connect us all. Yeah,
that's right. Yes.
That's fantastic. So now you were good in sports, right? What was the sport you were?
I figured that out pretty early. Also, I would. This is when children could run around and their mothers didn't know where they were. It was okay, but I used to go down and I'd enter the races, the track races after school, and they were only boys, and so I had to race against boys and against all types of boys. But thank God at 9 and 10, they're like this much shorter, and their legs are that much shorter, so it worked out pretty good. And I got to learn that I enjoyed recognition, and I liked getting that blue ribbon or that red ribbon or that yellow ribbon, and I liked that recognition. And so sports, I think, helps people pursue excellence, whatever that is. Yes. And it teaches discipline and so many things. We could spend so much time on that. But the thing for me, going back to this resilience, is the fact that I got to experience in a sports situation where the odds were stacked against us. So, for instance, in volleyball, we'd be down 8 or 10 points and the other team was just killing us. And we'd take a timeout, we'd collect ourselves, just take a moment, come back together with a renewed energy and catch a break, catch some kind of wind that was shifting different in the room, and come back and actually beat that team, even though we were 8, 10, 12 points in a deficit. So those are the type of things that just reinforced, again, you don't stop until it's over, and if you quit, it's always over. And you lose that small window that might enable you to go through it. And so that's was a huge lesson for me. And I had a couple of coaches that were role models, and I would just sit there and watch how they would communicate and get people's attention and discipline and respect. And it was a wonderful experience.
That's fantastic. It's really finding the victory part of oneself as opposed to the victim part, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And you will be the victim. There was plenty of losses in basketball games and volleyball games where we got smoked and handed it to us. But there was also times where we shouldn't have won and we did, and what that felt like. And I've just always kind of kept that with me. And of course the Royal Ballet, I mean, come on, just a handful of women can ever say that they've enjoyed being part of that tribe, and what a sacrifice and resilience it is. So I think that's what we were kind of talking about, is the importance of discovering your resilience, or some of us have to rediscover it. Maybe life situations or a certain partner in our life have kind of backed that down, and we have to rediscover that again and to tap into it.
One of the things that makes me think about is, I was just thinking, I bet you're a great fighter for the underdog, and it's like you got to fight for your own underdog too, right? I mean,
that's correct.
It's like just telling yourself, I'm going to do this no matter what, and almost like kind of laughing your way through the challenges, because certainly in whatever it is we choose to do, we're going to have the challenges. I went to my dance class this morning, and I dance every day. I'm doing some kind of exercise every day. And somebody said to me the other day, "Oh, you're really disciplined." And I said, "Really? I never even thought about it as discipline. It's a lot of fun for me." But
That's right.
Sometimes I'm pretty tired afterwards, or I go do personal training and I hurt the next day. But it's kind of like fun to see, okay, what can my body do, and how far can I go? And I like that. I like to push myself in a loving way, not in a harsh way, but in a loving way. And I think we're very similar that way. We like to test ourselves. What am I made of?
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
And then it's fun to be on a real winning tribe, because I think I like to be on tribes that win. And that's why I love Nikken. I love the winning tribe. And I can remember in sports being on a team that was a red, a blue, a green, a yellow. I was on this green team, the Windsor team, and they weren't the winning team. And I was like, how do I get on that red team? Because that red team, that's the winning team. I want to be with them, you know. And so I think it always is great when, like in Nikken, we're developing teams. And in order for the team to be a winning team, we have to choose to be a winner and go become a winner, and then teach and inspire others through our example to be winners too.
Julie, that's so important. I mean, you have to ask yourself, would I follow me?
Exactly.
Would I follow me? And of course, you know, you're not the person when you know, started your business years ago, and I'm not the same person when I started my business years ago. But you have to be in the pursuit and the awareness of saying, am I someone that people want to follow? Because if you're not working on you, the products haven't changed. The insoles have not changed since the day I started my alignment and my business and my relationship with Nikken. The insoles have not changed.
And they work. Yay!
And they work. And they work.
I love our products. You're sitting on your seat and I'm sitting on mine.
That's right.
We love our products.
But they haven't changed.
Yeah.
So, but you have to, and the change has to be in the area of growth, and being conscious of what you're saying and the pictures that you're painting when you're communicating to people. You know, it's just so important. Like if I had met you all those years ago, and I was living in a rented room, and I had $4,100 in the bank, and you're showing me all these amazing technologies so I can create a wellness home. And I'm just sitting there and I'm nodding and I'm smiling and I'm going, wow, I don't have the cash for any of this. She doesn't know this. I don't look like I'm in a bad financial situation. I'm not going to tell you that because of my pride. But you've just taken an hour and a half or an hour of my time to show me these amazing technologies, but I can't participate. But if you had taken the time, this is what I'm talking about, the personal growth, and if you'd taken the time to ask me a few questions, to sit back and think about past conversations that we've had, and to think that, gee, you haven't been to a dinner party at my house, and you haven't heard of me going on a fabulous vacation. And you know that I'm kind of playing small, but you know that's not something I'm satisfied with, then it might be a situation where you actually come in and say, hey, Susan, what do you like best about what you do? And what do you like least about what you do? And do you see yourself another 3 to 5 years staying in the printing job that you have? I mean, does it make you happy? Is it big enough for you? Is that stage big enough for you to play on? And I would say, no, Julia, no, and no, and no. You see, now you've identified, because you're growing. You're not just, this is the information and this is the way it is, but you're growing and you're discovering that questions are the answer. And you're uncovering what would make me be interested in the whole package of Nikken. Yes, I need to invest in the products. Yes, I need to fall in love with these technologies and what they can do for mankind. But you first have to get me in touch with me. And you do that by your personal growth and just asking questions and identifying, what do I value? What are my priorities? And if you can do that effectively, and then go into, now, this is how we do this, Susan, I'm all yours. Instead of sitting back and going, this isn't really for me, and I don't know why I'm sitting here. Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, alkaline water, I've heard good things about it. But I'm not engaged. I look like I'm engaged, but back here, I'm not. I've already shut down. But if you come from my need, if you come from what I value, what do I value? I value time freedom. I value making a contribution to other people. I value my freedom and to do what I want to do, where I want to do it, how much I want to do it. and I value living and not having a small life. If you identify those things in me, then I will listen and I will follow you to where if you have a plan, because 99% of the people out there have no plan. And a job's not a plan. It's really not, because the company can plan on firing you. The company can plan on downsizing you, and they will the first minute they get the opportunity. As soon as they can figure out how technology can replace you, you're gone. I was just coming back from Sedona, and I think I stopped in the Austin airport. I think so. And I go up there to get a sandwich, right? And I go up there, and there's no one to take my order. Have you seen those, Julie?
No.
There is no one to take the order.
Wow.
I mean, you go up to a screen and you push what sandwich you want and what you want on it. And then someone in a window hands you the bag and runs your, and you run your own credit card and they hand you a bag. And I just thought about it. Really? Are we downsizing $8 an hour employees that I can't even order my sandwich? So it's like, it's just amazing, absolutely amazing that we need to figure out what do people value and then give them the opportunity to actually form something that will then allow me to gain what I value.
Yes, that's beautifully put. And that's really sad to see. And we see it everywhere. We see it at the banks. We see it everywhere where, people just are dispensable. And so, freedom and taking matter into your own hands is very, very important. And to touch back on the whole, the risk idea. I was actually just on the phone with someone today doing some coaching, and we were talking exactly about calculated risk. That's exactly the conversation we were having about, just what is your risk quotient? And, because the risk of not making the changes is a far greater risk than taking the leaps that are required to begin and develop.
It absolutely is. It is an absolute bigger risk. And why that's not clear to more people, I don't understand. It's always the mystery in me, because I see this is taking matters into your own hands. I mean, I started with one person in my business, right? We always start with that first person in the business. In fact, no, I started with no people in my business.
Started with you.
Yes, that's right, exactly.
You were the first.
I was the first. Okay, so I mentally enrolled me and said, this is what I want to do. And then when I went out, to build a team and to set up my business and the structure, it's like, wow, I have complete control over how many people I talk to. I have complete control over how good I get my communication and to give a proper presentation of these products and a vision of what we're doing. I have control over those things. Yeah. And that is just amazing. And I don't have to leave my job. I can maintain that control. One of the things that I was talking to someone recently is that, there's 168 hours in a work week. And if you have 50 of those hours that are working, right, that gives you 118. And then you have 40 hours that you're sleeping and maybe 15 hours that you're working. There's roughly about 60 to 65 hours that you're not working, sleeping, or eating. And you have control of those hours. And maybe you're attending church services, traveling, doing charity work, spending time with your children, cleaning your home. I get it. Laundry, I get that. But that's 68 hours every week. 68 hours. Do you realize how amazing, how much time that is? Yeah. And if you just take, again, this example of just taking 10 to 15% of those hours and put it into something that you can grow and that you can control. And that's how I got out of my job. And that's how that resilience of like, okay, these people aren't interested. So next month I'll talk to these. And these 3 were interested, but one was really good. And that resilience, and I'm going on and I'm not stopping and I'm going on. And when I realized that 6 people on the planet, Julie, that are earning $2,000 a month. 6 people on the planet earning $2,000 a month in their own business is basically $7,000 to $8,000 a month to me. And I looked at that as kind of a recipe. And I'm like, okay, this much milk, this much flour, this much heat, this much time. Okay, great. That's not a calculated risk. I can find 6 people on the planet that think that alternative medicine and complementary care and prevention is the direction we have to go. I can find 6 people. And so I locked that in, and that resilience of going, not going to stop until I find 6, not going to stop until I find 6. And little by little, they came into my life, but I was also conscious of making sure that, am I someone that someone wants to follow? And I'm not perfect and you're not perfect. And we can go back and go, you know, we did some things, you know, that we should have said something different, or that person's personality, we're not perfect.
Of course.
But we have their best interest in heart. We have a vision of where we're going, and we came through it. And that's why we reached the level of Royal Diamond.
Well, I think that's great when you say, you know, we have their best interests at heart, because I think that's really true. And I think anyone who reaches diamond, Royal Diamond levels, I mean, they obviously care about others as much as they care about them. And there's a Buddhist saying that if you want wealth and prosperity, you've got to want it as much for everybody else as you want it for yourself. And that's a beautiful thing about network marketing, is this team thing, you know. And I want to talk a little, especially about women, because, you know, women in business. I've just been reading a book. It's just over there. I just finished it actually late last night, called Inventing the Rest of Our Lives. And there was some statistics in there that were amazing. And I know that also Kiyosaki's book has some statistics on women, but if you don't mind, I'm just going to run a couple of them by us here.
I would love to.
We could talk about women, because Nikken is comprised of 75% women. And I want to talk to you about that. So, but in this book, she mentions, you know, 3/4 of employed women earn less than $30,000 a year.
Okay, 3/4.
3/4 of employed women earn less than $30,000.
So 3/4 of working women in the United States?
Yep, this is in the States. The average pension for a woman, and I'll give you these later if you want, the average pension for a woman is a half that of a man. Half of that of a man. You know, pro-skilled middle-aged women now forming a critical mass in the workplace. Age discrimination is a huge problem in the regular workplace. Financial security is extremely precarious. But listen to this, women start new businesses at 2 times the national rate. The largest growing small business sector in the economy and the source of the most newly created jobs. 2/3 of the 6.2 million women business owners are in their mid-40s and up, and over 50% of them are in the service sector. So this book was not on network marketing per se. This is just on stating what's happening. They said, and in it, she said that women have an all-purpose survival tactic, and guess what the word was? Networking. They create success teams. And women business owners surpass $1 trillion thanks to growth rates that exceed the national business averages. Women business owners employ 1/3 again more people than Fortune 500 and have better loan repayment records. It's just amazing. But this is what she said. She said, women tend and befriend. They network. They form community. That's how they sort of survive in the world. They form community. So they tend and befriend. And I just thought that was just terrific. And then a couple of other things, because we know the baby boomers, you know, we know they want to be healthy. We know they want financial security. We know they want to make a difference. But she said when she did her survey of what matters, women in their 40s and 50s, 3/4 of whom are employed, this is what they want. 63% of them want to travel. 52% of them want new hobbies. 35% of them are interested in career. 29% of them want to volunteer. Their work priorities, it's shifted from ambition to self-fulfillment. It's shifted from recognition to self-assurance. It's shifted from success to achievement. It's about knowing and about learning new things. And the focus is moving from the outside to the inside. It's about self-expression. Self-expression. And I think that's, you know, where do women have the power to become all that they can be in the workplace outside of network marketing? I mean, to me, it is such an open playing field for them to excel in whatever ways they want to excel financially and be financially free, so they're not dependent on a partner, a mate, a husband, a partner, whatever. They're not dependent, because what partner would want you to stay with them because you got the cash? I mean, awful, right? That's just awful. So they need autonomy, and they want autonomy, but the issue seems to be that a lot of times women have become so dampened down by glass ceilings that are being put there of different natures that they've forgotten how to breathe. They've forgotten how to fly with their own wings. And what I want to teach, and what I know you love to teach, is to show that you can fly with your own wings, which you are exemplary at showing that. Flying with your own wings, helping other team players to fly with their own wings, so they don't have to be under this shadow of defeat and, yeah. Control.
Right. Well, I mean, I was just writing down the numbers. That 63% of the women would love to travel, and I've got to adjust some of my talks here now. I've got to put in the travel aspect. This business has taken me all over the world, and I know you've probably been to more countries than I have. And it's a tax write-off. You know, we need to talk about that. Oh, travel. You know, it's really nice that I've been able to see Hawaii and see India. And I had legal tax deductions to write those trips off because I had a reason to do business there. And so that was a lot of fun. And then volunteerism, you know, this idea and this concept of volunteerism and making a difference. The meeting I just did was with a nurse, and I thought I misunderstood her when she told me that she's had multiple operations. She'd had over 20 operations. But she still has a good attitude, and she's still volunteering, and she's doing things, and it's like she's just a happy person. I mean, I just 2 operations for me, and I don't know, 3. You know, it was just amazing that this woman, you know, was in a wheelchair 5 months ago, and she's still out volunteering and having her husband take her and share. And it's like, wow, that's what these people are looking for. They're looking for something with purpose, you know. We look at our governments, we look at our bank systems, you know, when you and I were young, you know, oh, you could trust the bank, you know, and everything that our foods, you know, can't trust our foods, we can't trust our banks. There's just so many industries that we can't trust. Yeah, it is. And it's like, this is such a great opportunity to be able to say, wow, you know, again, it comes back to, you know, if it's meant to be, if it's up to me, or that man or woman in the mirror, you know, we can control, you know, who is the famous person that says, you know, be the change you want to see?
Yeah, Gandhi. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I butchered that. Sorry.
My daughter has that tattooed around her wrist. Be the change you want to see in the world.
Yeah, be the change. So, and Nick in a lot of ways is volunteerism, you know, and there's a lot of time that I put in it where I don't get paid. Recently went and helped another group out, and you know, and it's just the volunteerism, it feels that way. It feels pure. It feels happy. It feels like you're making a contribution. So when we're communicating to people, just make sure, you know, you're not saying, we're not selling stuff. I'll give you a real quick example. Something that should have been videotaped, which is completely private and confidential. But if I could snap my finger and I could have videotaped it, I had a beautiful lady in her early 40s, this group that you're talking about. And I won't give a lot of details because this is a public medium here. But she comes in here, and she came to pick up a couple of products or discuss, I guess, how a couple of products that she ordered worked, because she came through a lead of mine in the country of Panama. And like, oh, you live in Orlando? I said, oh, come over to the house. I'll explain, you know, how the alkaline water and the magnetism in the water and all these wonderful things that make the water products so unique. So she came over and she sat down. She goes, I just have to tell you that I'm not interested in the business. And I just looked at her and I leaned forward and I said, you know what, so-and-so, I can completely understand, because you think it's about what just happened to you, selling a water system. I said, that's not what we do. And I took the next 15 or 20 minutes and I explained the differences between her job and my career in Nikken and what could be hers also. It's not just, I have this better deal than you, but it was showing her, opening up her mind to the possibility of taking those talents and investing them in herself on a part-time basis. And she left here 35, 40 minutes or maybe an hour later, and she cannot wait to do this business. In fact, someone just sent me an item that she's going back to her home country, and she wants to make sure that she's at the senior level because she's already got people that she wants to see. Right. Now, it wasn't me. All I did was change the channel. She had the channel on that we sell water systems and stuff.
Yes.
And it just frustrates me to no end when people have that channel on their brain or on their screen in their mind, because that's not what we do. Is that what you do, Julie? No. Do you travel around the world selling stuff? No. What we do is we give people an opportunity to have an inexpensive franchise, better than franchise business. You know, I thought about that after she left, and I said, well, does McDonald's Corporation want to sell hamburgers? No. The McDonald's Corporation is interested in finding partners to do the distribution of those hamburgers. That's what they're interested in. Yeah. You know, Mr. Kroc was interested in owning real estate. I think when he passed away, he owned more commercial real estate than any other person in America. And that was his goal. So it wasn't that they're out. Mr. Kroc wanted to sell 35,000 hamburgers a month out of one location. He wanted people to say, hey, come and join me. Let's go ahead and we'll give you a system. We'll give you a track to run on. We'll give you some guidance and let you go in there and have that business and to create something for you and your family. Okay. Now, you and I aren't big fans of that particular company.
Actually, no.
It's the system, but it's the system.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I say to people, does McDonald's make the best hamburger? No, but they have the best delivery system. And that delivery system is through partners networking, because they didn't have the money to set up all those simultaneously locations. So they found people that would do that and then buy the product from them. And that's what we're doing. We're locating people. And there's something just recently I started saying, I'm looking for people. I'm looking for a certain person. And I need, when we sit down, like if I just met you and I said, you know, I know exactly what I'm looking for. And today's meeting is to see if what you're looking for matches up. That's it.
Right. That's right, because we're interviewing them as much as that, you know, we always are interviewing them, right?
That's correct.
I know something Eric Worre said the other day. I was listening, and he said something like, we're taking, you know, the blind and trying to help them to see. And it really is that shift over, that click, so that suddenly they can see the power of networking, the power of compounding time.
Well, hold on, just let me interrupt for just 1 second. There's something I started doing. I don't know why I started doing this, but I just started doing this. And I take my organization, because people don't have pictures. They don't get pictures from school or university about what we do. Yeah. So what I did is I actually put together, this is my book of business, right? Yeah. And I put this book of business together, and it has, me starting out here at the first position, okay, and then second and third, and then it goes down here, and then it comes up here, and then it comes down here, and this comes on, double-sided, and I show people this because this is what we're talking about. I started with no one. Yep. And I had to find the first one. And that first one knew the second, third, and fifth one. And the fifth and the third one, maybe they stopped, but the first and the second one kept going, and they found 10 more. And then they found 30 more. And maybe 10 stopped, got disheartened, didn't have what?
Resilience.
Right? And they just quit on themselves. You know, it's kind of interesting because people say, oh, I quit Me Can. And I just jumped right up on them and I said, oh my, you didn't quit Me Can. You just fired yourself. You make 30% profit or you make 45% profit with no overhead of a building, no employees.
Yeah.
And you've just fired yourself.
Yeah. I had a guy over the other day and he told me his overhead for a coffee shop, a little coffee shop on the corner, is $30,000 a month. $30,000 a month, and I just about had a heart attack. I was like, are you kidding me? And I was like thinking, what are our overheads? Virtually nothing.
No,
everything is tax deductible.
It is nothing. If you're a senior or a silver distributor and you're at 45% profit and you don't have any overhead, where is your overhead?
Why? And everything's tax deductible. All your travel, your phone, you're part of your house. It just goes on and on.
Why would you fire yourself with no overhead and a 30% profit or 45% profit?
Yeah.
I don't know. Why would you cut that off?
Yeah.
Why would you cut that lifeline off? So this business started with just a handful of people. And some of these people did 13,000 in a month. And some of these people did nothing. And this one did 1,000. And this one did 4,800 and 7,900 and 13,300 and 10,000. And this person did nothing. But this person did 1,500 and this person did 300. And, you know, this one did 4,000. These people did nothing, but that's okay because it's their businesses.
Yes.
But the thing that you know, here's 11,000 in a country I haven't been in 2 years. That's amazing. But one little thing I wanted to share with you, because I was working with someone in Miami recently, and I was talking to her, and she's from a very small town. And I said to her, I said, oh, what's the name of that town? And she told me the small town. And I said, I think I have a business there. And I grabbed my book and I said, that town's like less than 20,000 people. She goes, oh, yes, it is. It's a very small town. So I go through here and I pull it up and I go, huh. I said, do you have a calculator? And of course, all young people do. She's a med student. And she started adding up. I said, let me give you these numbers. 9,000, 9,000, 2,175, 2,000, blah, 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 blah. And I said, what does that come to? And she said, oh, that comes to roughly 45,000.
Right.
I said, I did $45,000 in your hometown. Number one, I've never been there. Number two, the people that produced the 45,000, I've never met them. I earned almost $3,000 last month in your small hometown, which I've never been to, and I've never spent any time training those people that own their own businesses there.
Yeah.
And to see her body language go from, you know, what is, you know, if there was women in their 40s and 50s, and here she's this 24-year-old med student that's going to be a wonderful pediatric surgeon and probably change the lives of many children, right? And I'm glad for that. And I'm not to take her off that path. But I know that path comes with about $150,000 to $160,000 of medical debt, Julie.
Yep.
And I said to her, I said, so is Daddy going to be funding this, or are you going to be funding it? She just laughed and, you know, again, humor. And she goes, well, it's going to be a combination of both. I said, oh. I said, well, if I can do this much business blindfolded, what if I actually gave you some assistance, some guidance, and actually went to that small town, met with your father, and actually put together a plan? Because if I can make almost $3,000, I said, I'm making like $24,000 a year. $24,000 a year, not lifting one finger. But see, that came from the work I did 5 years ago. And it keeps going on. Not every time, Julie, not every time. But there's that what? What is there? I only look for a chance.
Yeah.
And
You're looking for
her
the
body language,
possibility, the way out.
her body language changed, and she was like, oh, she goes, oh, and I said, okay, wait a minute. Don't call your dad and tell him we're going to sell magnets. Because that's not what we're going to do. What we're going to do is we're going to come from people's need, and we're going to find people that need the insoles for their blood sugar problem, and we're going to find people that need the necklace for breathing challenges and head discomfort and back discomfort. We're going to find people, and we're going to serve them. And we're going, volunteerism, we're going to serve them. And if we serve them well, and they're looking for us, and we're looking for them, then there's going to be a beautiful thing that happens together. They're going to get what they want, and we're going to get financially compensated for it. And that's what we do. And her body language, her demeanor, she's ready to go. And so, again, was I this way my first 6 weeks in the business? No.
No.
But the faster that you can get to that point and realize and know that you are serving people. This business is about serving people and giving them away. And these women, that 3/4 of American women that are earning less than $30,000 a year.
Yeah.
I'm making 24 in a city I've never been to. And if I had 4 children, I could be home with those children. Now there's a price to pay. You know, people that are watching this, there's a price to pay in the beginning, and it's a delayed gratification. But I have been earning for 5 years off that small town, and I've never been there. So that's gratification. Was it delayed? Yes, because I started in this bigger town 8 years ago. And it took a couple of years to filter into that smaller town that's right next door. Yeah. But it happened, didn't it? And it's been happening over and over and over again.
It's a great, great story. So let me ask you, with your business and your years, how many years now have you been involved with me again?
It's 17 years.
Okay, so we're pretty close. I think for me it's 18 years now. So we're very close.
Not in earnings, we're not, Julie.
We're both doing good.
Not in earnings.
So you know, but in terms of challenges and hurdles for yourself, did you ever have a thought of quitting? Did that ever happen?
You know, I was asked this recently. Absolutely not. There was no alternative, and the response I gave to him was the same I'll give to you. There was no alternative because no one's going to care for me the way I care for me.
Yeah. No
one is going to be sitting there in HR going, let's see, what can we do to help Susan have a more balanced life? You think anyone in the HR department is thinking that? Nope. Absolutely not. They're going, oh, gee, you know, Julie had too much, looks like she had too much overtime. Make sure you call her supervisor and make sure she doesn't get any more overtime. Or, you know, wow, that department, the sales are down, so we should probably cut her back. Let's cut her out, you know. Oh, gee, healthcare's rising, going up. So instead of us finding out ways that we can absorb that, we're just going to go ahead in the HR department and send out a memo that we're going to take now, instead of $51 a month out of her paycheck every week, now we're going to take $151. Oh, pensions. Oh, gee, make sure you send out the email that now we are no longer providing pensions for any employees, and they're 100% responsible for putting together their own retirement. Why would I put my life in people like that? Why would I put my future in a career in something that the people, they don't care? They don't care. And it's just, I mean, it's like corporate America. I won't say who I worked for, but I worked for one of the biggest companies. Well, that would give it away in Orlando, right? Okay. But
yeah, it would.
I worked for one of the biggest companies, and I was just amazed that people had been there 10 and 12 years. And it's like, I don't even want your position. why would I be in a career where, you know, here's the ladder, you know, Julie, the little ladder, right?
Yeah.
You have the different ladders, right? And I'm going to start here. And I asked someone this recently. I said, would you want your supervisor's job? And they went, no. Would you want your supervisor's job? And they go, no. And then I said, then why are you dumping all of this time and why are you on this path if the people above you, you're not even interested in their jobs because they're working them to death, or it's not what you want to do because it's back sitting in a cubicle instead of out waiting on clients?
Yeah.
And it's like, so you asked me that question, have I ever thought about what's the alternative, Julie?
Yeah.
What is the alternative? You telling me what health plan I'm on, you telling me when I'm coming to work, you telling me what days I'm working, what I'm worth.
So you're unemployable. You're unemployable.
I am, and I don't understand when people lose a job, they go right back to the same thing. Now, I understand. I'm not speaking from an ivory tower here. You know, I had $4,100 in the bank when I started my business, and I didn't have, and it was 2.5 years later after I got in my Nikan business started that I bought my first home. So I didn't come, you know, I'm not, oh, I've forgotten where I've come from. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But it's just amazing that people will go back to that same situation and not go, you know, it's like the little story of the little fly. And they say the fly, you know, just keeps going toward the window, going toward the window, going toward the window. And eventually they die down in the sill. Yeah. And if they just turned around and looked in another direction, there might have been an open window or an open door behind them or 65 degrees behind them or whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they wouldn't have died just trying the same thing over and over again. I mean,
so it's a lack of creative thinking, really. It's a lack of creative thinking, and it's entrainment from what they've seen others do and the parents and so forth.
That is correct. And again, you know, and here's the thing that I will say. Not everybody's cut out for this business, Julie. They're not. They're not. I'm very honest about that. I tell people, I said, not everybody's cut out for this. You know, for instance, if I had terrible sleeping problems, I just can't sleep. And you're the kind of person, Julie, that would say, well, oh, I sleep fine. You know, it's not my problem. It's not my insomnia. Those people are not a fit. They're not a fit. Do you understand? But if you're one of those people, what did we say down here about volunteerism? You want to volunteer, and you come to me and you say, you know, Susan, I might have something, you know, and you ask me a couple of questions, you know, how much longer do you think it's safe to not sleep? You know, and ask me some questions and you get involved, then at the very least, I give you the sleep system back. And at the very most, you have a partner that's done hundreds of millions of dollars of business like your business has. Yeah. I mean, your business has done, have you ever added it up? It's over what, 200 million, 300 million?
Oh, I did once, now I forgot what it was. It was a tremendous amount. I mean, we talked the other day about, you know, how much you figured out how much you were worth an hour or something. We were laughing about that.
Yeah, it's like, wow, you know, it's like, yeah, I mean, when you take what we're worth an hour, but going back to that point of not forgetting, I mean, I understand that. You still have to have a mortgage and you have a family and you can't just run off and leave what you're doing. But you have to take those 65 to 68 hours every week that you're not working, eating, and sleeping and deposit them in a future. And you and I looked for a long time for the right future. And for us, the fit was the corporation of Nikan. They're the supplier. Yep. And then we are there to develop the distribution outlets. Yeah. And you know.
And I love that. I love that about it.
I love that. Yeah, and that's my job, is to set up the distribution as a distribution developer, and when I'm successful at that, and my team is successful at that, and their team is successful at that, then a commission flows to many people instead of one stockholder. You know, I was amazed that that company that I used to work for, boys and girls, right? There's a clue.
Yeah.
The one I used to work for, their CEO got paid $37 million.
Yeah.
And $37 million in stock options. And every single year that I worked there, they kept pulling out more and more for healthcare.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, you know, people like, oh, you know, all the people at the top. No, the people at the top in this company will return your phone call. They will help you build your group. They will do Skype. They will email you. They will, you know, hey, Julie, you know, things aren't working out. Things aren't working out. They will mention you, say, give you some ideas of things you can do to improve your business. And they care. And they may care because there's a percentage. There's a vested interest there. It's not charity work, March of Dimes or something that we're collecting for. But there's a partnership there that is so beautiful. And when your people win, we win.
Right.
And whether that company has a phenomenal year or a bad year, that $37 million goes to that man. And it's and you see these companies that lost 35 million or lost $1 billion, and their CEOs are still making, you know, $3, $4, $10, $12 million, and they've run the company into the ground.
Oh, it's unconscionable. Hey, Susan, so look, we got like just 3 minutes. We got 3 minutes left here. So, so we're going to need to complete. And so I just want to ask you, I mean, you can either tell me quickly the 7 reasons why you joined, because I know you mentioned that, or just women. And can women succeed in NECAN? We know men can succeed. We see a lot of men at the top. What about women? What
well, I honestly believe, and I'm not just saying this, I mean, I honestly believe that women make better distributors. The reason that they are not proportionally more represented, so to speak, is because of the fact of the resilience. I think, oh, well, it didn't work out, or those people didn't show up, or, okay, you know, resilience, I think, by a lot of women could be seen as something that's not a feminine quality. You know, just keep coming and just keep coming and don't stop and march and march and go and go. And so it could be some of that. And, but I honestly believe that women make better distributors because of the thing you were talking about, the tending and the networking and communicating. But the 7 reasons. I gotta say,
we go through labor. I mean, I was 87 hours labor in my first labor, and we have resilience. Women have innate resilience.
Was that for a child, or was that for a horse?
That was for a child.
Okay, all right, wonderful.
And then the next one was 48 hours. I mean, with no painkillers, like zero painkillers. Crazy. But we're resilient. Women are extraordinarily resilient when they're pushed to the test. That's a great thing.
The reason I picked this company was 7 reasons. Number 1, all the levels are permanent.
Yes.
Number 2, the PV and the CV are similar.
Yes.
Number 3, there's a lifestyle bonus. Number 4, it's sellable. Number 5, it's a willable business. Yes. Number 6 is we have compression. So those empty spots that you see on my printout here, things compress up and I still get paid on them, and so does my team. And the last thing is it's an old company.
Yes.
It's an old company, but it's still expanding. I mean, we opened, 3 countries last year?
I know.
That's just so exciting that the new markets, I know. That's what's really cool. So it was a logical reason why I picked this company and said no to so many others, because of those things. So, Julie, thank you so much. I appreciate you inviting me on to your talk show.
It's a pleasure to have you on. Congratulations for becoming the newest Royal Diamond. We're thrilled for you. Everyone in the company is so proud of you. You're really an inspiration, my friend.
And we're ready for more. We're ready for more.
Yes, we are. Bring it on.
No limit. No limit on how many people can be up here. No limits. So.
Right. Thanks so much, Susan.
Thank you.
Great to be with you. Lots of love.
All right. Same here.
Bye.